y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the tireless tangler, and you've arrived at day 86 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2020. Thank you guys so much for being with me on this adventure, and our tangle today is going to be 21. It is by Holland's Mariët Lustenhouwer, and it is fun. This is based on an OG grid, so I got a little grid in there for you gridders, but this also can be put together in an organic way, so that makes some of us happy too. It also has some interesting shading possibilities. So let's get started. Okay, so for this, I think I am going to do 4 dots and a border on my tile. I'm using an original Zentangle tile. This is 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, or 9 by 9 centimeters. For those of you that live in the real math world instead of in the United States and England, or the UK, as it were. We know what we're doing, don't we, guys? All right, now for today's pattern, I think I want a funky border. So, like I like to do, except unfortunately my funky borders are getting even funkier with my funky shaking. And of course, we need a Maria Thomas thing in here. So we're gonna do like so. I really like this border pattern, can you tell? They all look alike, but that's okay. They work for me. Okay. 21 is based on an OG grid, but as I said, it can be both a grid pattern and organic at once. So this is different. Whoops, Simba's got a scratch. Hang on. Hang on. Let's say hi to Simba. See if we can put him in the picture here. Say hi, Sim. Say hi, Simba. Simba. Oh, he's a good boy. Oh, he's a good boy. All right. Got a little smile from Simba. He is busy having his nap on my legs, as he likes to do, while I record. And somebody had a great comment the other day asking when our perpetual puppy was going to have his own YouTube show. Such a great idea. I don't know if I have the energy for another one, but if we could get some good video of Simba, that might be a lot of fun. Okay, so OG grids, as we know from several patterns this year, are built on this type of setup, right? And you can create these grids by doing your wavy lines and either touching or not touching, just like we did in African Artist, yeah? But if we handle it singly with single entities like this, then we can grow this organically. So let me show you what I mean. Let's start over here. Okay, actually, let's start over here. I'm going to make this the point, and I'm going to come out here, and I'm just going to draw one like this. And this is just 2 mirrored lines. Okay? Then if I want to add more, oh, Simba's about to leave me, I think. His brother is having fun in his room. Anyway, like this. And thus, if you start at the midpoint, curve out, come down, and then join up the other side like this, you can put these in pretty much whatever configuration you like, however you like. If you want to add one over here, you're just going to start here. Like that. okay? And then this one will be easy. But in this method, you can pick and choose where you want your elements to be, as opposed to, bye Simba. Okay, so by this method, you can pick and choose where you want your elements to be. You can also detach them completely from the grid and put them completely differently. So like this perhaps, right? And I could put another one in, or a partial one right there, but I'm not going to, I don't think, right now. I'm going to leave that out there in the wild, wild west. That's where I live, in the wild, wild west. And and this is going to just be out there for now until I decide what I'm going to do with it. Okay? So, let's look at this. I want to add another one right here. I'm going to join this up there. And so this one can come down just like this. All right, and then I have a weird shaped one here that I can add in. And again, this is very intuitive. It doesn't have to be exactly so. You can put them in however you want. Let's see, it would be, I think I'll leave that for now. And if you get stuck or have trouble with the angle, then just turn your tile over. See if that helps you any. It actually does help me because I see this now where I did not see it before. And so this is how you can set up your grid. But if this makes you uncomfortable, if you're more comfortable and at ease and peaceful with the grid method where we draw the wavy lines, that's going to work here too, just as well. Okay, this is just a way to give this grid pattern a little bit more personality, if you will, make it a little more organic. Okay, so let's put, actually, let's go this way so that we have something else moving in this direction. And I'm going to make a partial one here and here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my partial one this way. And this will just go behind. And that one will go behind as well. Then this, we can make this look like it's traveling underneath this, like hollabaugh. Now again, if this confuses you, don't do it this way, okay? All right, let's focus on each individual orb, or what do you call these guys? Each individual OG? Can I do that? Okay, so what we're gonna do now on the inside of these is we're going to draw two curved lines, and they won't curve much, and they'll be very slight curves. So you're going to want to fit them into the point on each end like this. Let me zoom a little bit. See if I can stay in frame today. I sort of skirted that closely yesterday. Let's try not to do that. Okay, so now we're going to draw some parallel lines, some arid lines that follow the curve. Going to be little C shapes. And again, keep your stroke the same for each one. And just stripe that up. sort of like a bee stinger. Somebody said something about bees when I was looking up the step out. And I like that. So this is going to be our next thing, okay? Now the last step is to go to the side. Let me see if I can turn this at an angle where you can see it. Is to go to the sides, and you want to start at the top, and you're going to draw aura lines that match the curve of the outer line. And you're just going to continue these all the way down the side to the bottom. All right? And on the other side, you're going to do the same. Now, the cautionary note here is to point these all in the same direction. It would not matter if you weren't in the grid, but because of the way these lines are set up, you're going to, these lines here in this entity are going to be going this way, which means they come at cross perpendicular to each other. Okay, and I know it's not actually perpendicular, but work with me on this. I need more appropriate math terms, and I don't know them, so that's a problem for me. Okay, so that is one of your entities, right? So let's put one in right here and see what I'm talking about. So curved line from tip to tip, and then match that mirrored on the other side. Okay, then aura down. Just go with the flow on these, and it's going to work out. And now you see what I mean. If we've got these turned a different direction, we're not going to have the clear divinate. I don't think that's the. We're not going to see the clear dividing of these two elements as well if the lines are not going perpendicular to each other, right? So that's how we do it. So now it's just a matter of filling these in. And this tangle has a lot of interesting embellishing possibilities. It has interesting shading possibilities. So let's fill these in, and then we'll hit some shading. Now, one thing I like to do then is stripe and sparkle these. And that, like I did here in this example, and that seems to work really well. So let's go ahead and draw our basic elements in all over, and then see where we're at and make some decisions about moving forward from then. And I'm going to leave my center section free because I think we could probably put orbs in the middle of this and do some different things. So I'm going to leave that open for now. Okay. So right now I'm just going to draw in the middle element and my little aura hatch lines down here. And take your time so that you've got a nice, neat result. Even in your sketch pad. And that's hard for me to do too. If I make mistakes in my sketch pad, oh, forget it. Just try again. But let's not be that way. Let's try even in our sketch pads when we start something to finish it off, because it creates a good habit. Now, if you've got one where your lines are a little bit off, just go with it. All right? Just curve into that. It's still going to work just fine. Just take your time. I was thrilled to be able to go through some comments here yesterday and answer some of them. You guys are so amazing. So kind. Most of you. There are a couple of you out there that just don't like it. But I always have to ask myself, why watch if you're not happy? Okay. All right. So that element, I just left the center open where I have this little line. And I'm just going through and drawing my center elements first. And I'm going to turn my tile and do these that go this way. I guess in this instance, this part would be perpendicular to this part. Looky there, I actually used a math term correctly. It almost never happens. And if you overshoot it, it's going to be okay. One more. Now I have got to find a better angle for this. I do not want to have to draw this all over again. Okay. Now I'm going to do my little hatch lines or aura lines down the sides. Okay. These also remind me of stylized feathers. In fact, as I hatch these down in this way, they remind me very much of like a headdress or something like that, or the feathers on my son's dream catcher. That's a really, it makes me feel Native American, or it gives me that Native American or Southwest United States feel. Let me know what you guys see. I always think that's cool that people see different, can look at the same image and see different things. I actually like this. All you'd really have to do is make this a bit thinner, wouldn't you? Well, my wiggles are alive and well today. How are my other wiggly friends out there doing? How are your wiggles treating you today? Those of you in my shaky hands club. I know I've got at least 2 of you that have MS, and at least 3 of you that have Parkinson's, that have shared those things with me. So I want to say good on you for getting out here and doing something that is not in your comfort zone. Use a very light stroke of the pen. I used to think if I pressed harder, that would help. And yes, it does help some with the wiggliness of the lines, but my overall control is better if I have a light stroke on my pen. If I hold my pen gently, and I know that seems counterintuitive, but it's really true. I am barely gripping my pen, and you know, some of my line work shows that. And the steadiness of my lines is not what I would like. However, my control over the direction the lines are going is much better this way. And that's the part that I hate the most in my lines, is when they go off on their own and do, you know, something weird. They are definitely my lines. because we live in weird over here. I tell my child every day that weird is the way to go. The world needs weird people, because we are the crazy ones, the ones that create change, the ones that get people to think, the ones that, fight the status quo. And I think that's an important thing to have in any society, because otherwise we grow stagnant. So I think weird is absolutely necessary, and frequently the weird ones are the creatives. So as far as I'm concerned, weird is awesome. Shout out to all the weirdos out there. We need a weirdo club, because I am definitely in that one. Now I'm running y'all off, aren't I? We thought she was really nice, and she is, but she's weird. I'm weird and proud. I have always been someone that makes my family shake their heads, because they are very not weird. They are very societal norm. And, that's fine. They're where they are, but that was never me. And even as a child, I was embarrassing to my mother and my sister, because I just did things my own way. And I don't I won't say I didn't care what people thought of me back then, but I definitely didn't mind being outside the norm. And it's taken me a long time to throw off that mantle of disapproval from others and embrace the person that I am, in spite of, or maybe because of, my weirdness or my desire to do things my own way. I was always a bit of a rebel, and someone that pushed back, and someone that, found her own path. I'm almost 60 and I've never been married, and that's been fine with me. That was something that I used to long for, but I chose instead to focus on traveling and living abroad and working and taking care of other people's kids. And, it all sort of sorted itself out. And while, yes, that'd be nice, that's just not where I'm at. I don't think I have room in my life for a relationship. I have all the relationship I can handle in the other bedroom in there. And he keeps me tuned in. He's my little darling. He's a brat, though, just saying. Some of you had such wonderful anti-argument suggestions. I want to thank Elizabeth especially. Several of you, and I read so many of them earlier and have forgotten who wrote them, but Elizabeth, is it Constantino? Forgive me if I'm not looking at it, then I forget. But she had some really lovely things that remind me that I need to, I need to start with myself. I need to look at my own attitudes and behaviors when little one and I are arguing, and make sure that I am listening with an open mind. And I tend to jump to the end of conversations in my head and already know what somebody's going to say, and coming out with a response before they get finished. And that's a very negative trait. So it doesn't matter if I'm right or not. It's still a negative trait, because it leaves the other person feeling like they weren't heard. And so these are things that I am going to really work on. And I really appreciate you guys' wisdom. You guys are wise people. That comes with life experience, and all together, all of us have a lot of life experience in us. And you guys are smart. I may be teaching these patterns, but you guys, a lot of you have more life experience than I do. So I appreciate you sharing that with me. You know, I'm enjoying this pattern. It's very relaxing to fill these little spots with these straight lines or these curved lines, R lines. I just can't leave them alone, can I? So I'm enjoying myself. Hopefully you are too. I guess I've got my chatter back. Slow down. And I'm thinking there are some things with these lines we might do differently that would enhance the look of feathers, which is so glad that came to me because it made me happy. All right. Well, I'm thinking about adding another element, but I'm gonna wait. Okay, so now as far as these center things, do I want to try some orbs? I think I do. I think we're going to do some different things and find out where we're at. So I'm going to treat this like the pattern perk, where I put a center orb in. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I hope this whole thing hasn't been out of focus. Let's do this way. And if I have to do it over again, I will. Okay. Let's try this. Okay. So then we squish in the orbs beside it. Like this. Oops. Got my jerking thing going on. Okay. All right. Relax, Cindy. You're not keeping this together here. Okay. Okay, so I don't hate that either. That's kind of cool. While I'm thinking about this, seeing if there's something else I could do with the center of this. I'm just going to put my little stripes and sparkles in here. Okay. So I wish I'd done this going this way and this going this way. What other fills could we put in here? We could stripe this up and down and see what happens. Let's see what I can, let's do that over here. See if I can be successful at that at all. Let's just do a big one down the center. All right. That's another one. What else? I don't know. I do not know. So let's put, I think I want to stripe this one going underneath. I want to stripe it with this big center stripe because I'm going to enhance the directionality of this in that way. And since we've got a lot going on here, shading will only do so much for us. So anything we can put in here that will sort of enhance the direction that this is going, I think would be good. And this is just my opinion, and you don't have to do it this way. You can stick with the standard, and the standard is really cute. And I am going to do a bunch more of those. I just haven't gotten to that spot yet. Oops. Okay. Let's zoom out a little bit. Gives a little bit more perspective here. We'll have to work on those a little bit. But you see what I mean? This definitely points in this direction now, and these will definitely point in this direction. It looks less like a non-directional lump here than it does two sets of things traveling in opposite directions. These are just sad. I need my 01 for this. Okay, a couple more. Ooh, I like that. That is really, really pretty. That turned out nicely. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I think, is do some orbs here on one side, do my stripes down the other side, and see what wins. Okay, let's go. this is actually fairly relaxing. The options aren't so great that I'm overwhelmed, but they aren't so few that I'm bored, which is a nice thing. Okay, so let's do some orbs here. It is another hot day in Oklahoma. How are the rest of you faring? We have established that it is winter in Australia. What about you and the rest of the world? How's your weather doing? Well, that's okay. All right, we'll put another one here. I didn't want to do that, but we will. Another fill just occurred to me too. We could adapt that fill that we used on one of the variations on Buen Camino. The one where you have like the printemps and then you divide the area in black. Does that make sense? I don't want to experiment anymore here, but something to think about. Okay, I like those, but I think I'm going to do the rest with the basic pattern. And sorry, I got distracted with that, and we didn't do very many of the actual basic pattern. Which is bad for me, Cindy, bad. Anyway, but I figured you guys could figure that part out. You're not impaired in any way. All right. Okay, that works. Let's move down here. So someone said, and sorry, I can't remember exactly who that was. Once I have hit about 5 comments, I'm no longer keeping it together in my head about who's who. But someone made the comment that that they liked the voiceover because they felt like I was doing the project with them, and that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. We're probably going to have more of those. It's not my I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that because so many things occur to me while I'm drawing, that then I forget to say later. That is one negative point, and you know, it's me. But that said, the video I did yesterday had exactly 3 breaks in it. That was like, and that's a good thing, because no breaks means I'm not having to stop and edit and cut the video 1,000 times, which the video before that I cut like 84 times. It was awful. Awful. The one where Caden was moving around on the bed, and that made it really difficult to keep from adding breaks. So it was an inspiration yesterday when I had only 3 cuts in the entire thing for issues that I needed to edit out. And so that was a revelation yesterday. That was awesome. What you think, Simba? All right. Oh, I love this. I love this. Actually, I had different ideas for shading, but I think I may have changed my mind on some of these. We'll have to be doing things a little bit different. This is cool. I like that. I like that. Okay, let's finish up and do some shading on this. Put this like this. Okay, now one more. And with a couple of exceptions, I think we're done with our inking. I'm going to shade this first, and then we may go over some of these lines between these elements. It just depends on how faded out the shading gets us, and if we need that to re-emphasize the edges of these, we can. All right. So I actually love this a lot. I think this was, because I didn't use a grid and I drew it in more organically, I feel like I had a lot of enjoyment here that I might have missed out on otherwise. So what I'm going to do for my shading today, assuming I can find the right pencil, is I'm going to use a Verithin to shade this, and I'm looking for my, not the Tuscan Red, I'm looking for my, like, something darker than the Pumpkin Orange. I've got a dark brown and a Prismacolor, but I don't want to use anything that thick. Okay, so I dragged out 3 pencils. I have a Tuscan Red in my Verithin line. I have my Pumpkin Orange in my Verithin line. And I also have this, I think I mentioned this before. This is by Faber-Castell. It is called Call Erase, and it is an erasable colored pencil. But it's basically serves the same type of function that the Verithins serve for Prismacolors. It's more transparent. So let's see color-wise what we're dealing with here. Okay, so this is a very reddish brown, which I do like. The Pumpkin Orange is going to be similar in color to this. Wow, I didn't realize those were quite as the same as each other. So this is a brownish red. The Pumpkin Orange is a more yellowy brown, and this is Tuscan red. This is going to be a darker reddish brown, which actually might be my best choice. I just don't know, because this PN that I have in brown it tends to be a darker brown than the 01s have. The 01s have a lighter type of a feel to them. Well, look, let's compare. I drew this with a 01 in brown, and I drew this with the PN in brown, and there's a huge difference in color, as you can see. So I think for the 01, the pumpkin orange or the terracotta or something like that might be good. But I think for this Tuscan red might be the best choice. So I'm going to, and luckily we can erase these at least to a certain point. So I'm going to start up here with this Tuscan red and see. Wow, that's pretty vibrant, but it definitely works. Okay, so for shading on these, let's do that real quickly. You're going to want to shade, well, actually, there are multiple ways to shade these, and that's going to depend on what you used in the center, of course, where you're going to do most of your shading. So for the standard step out version with the stripes here, what I'm going to do is do a drop shadow to one side and try to make it nice and deep and dark right up next to the element. I am not shading on the element itself on this side. And on the other side, I am going to shade on the element just down there on the side, along one side. We don't even want this to come up to the center, so just one-sided. Okay, what this is going to do is give this even more of a rounded feel. Okay, now this is pretty red. But I don't mind it. I'm tempted to this is the terracotta. This is the Faber-Castell. And this is going to give us a different color. So if we wanted to shade this more to the 01 type of a color, we could use this color. And then shade. To the side. I don't think this is as effective as the darker. So I think I'm going to lift this out just really, really gently. I don't even have to get rid of all of it, just the big parts. I had a little scritch on my eraser and I don't want to tear up my tooth. Okay. Oh, wow. What is that? Something really hard. All right. So, okay. So I think I'm going to stick with my Tuscan red for my elements that have the stripes on them. So I'm going to do one side of the center section, and then I'm going to put a drop shadow outside that center section on the other side. Okay, and make the color as deep as possible right next to the center element. Okay, like that. Okay. Let's do these two. And then sort of reassess where we're at. Okay, let's lift this out. All right, one more. And once again, just like always, you can lift these Verathins out and you can blend them with a tortillon, which is a really cool quality. All right, now, the question now is that we have these layered effects. There is one additional place that we can shade, and that is either on this side or on this side, which would be where I would tend to do. However, if we do that, let's find out. Just right there. So right there. And be right here. Okay. Well, I don't even know if I kept that consistent or not, but we're going to do it anyway. So let's grab the tortillon and blend and see where we're at. And I'm going to have to take a quick break and clean this off. Again, use an old nail file or a cheap nail file. You can get them in packs at your pharmacy stores. And just clean off the graphite on the end. And remember to clean it on its side and not straight up and down so you don't blunt the tip. When graphite coats your tortillon, it gets really slick, and it makes it hard for it to pick up the other stuff that you want it to pick up and spread. So let's start by blending this along the side. Look at it, what a nice job that does blending. And I'm going to bring out my drop shadow there. Sometimes when you're in situations like this, it's nicer to blend with a tortillon, I think, at least for me, than it is with your blending solution. Of course, I can use my blending solution on here, no problem. But then you have stuck the pigment into the tooth of the paper, and you're not able to fudge it anymore. And so, I don't know. I feel like I have more control this way, but it's also less vibrant. So it's really a trade-off. But again, we're also shading. So we don't want the shading to be more exciting than the elements themselves, right? At least for me. And again, this is your art. You may do as you wish. And I may get my blending solution out and fix up some spots on here, sort of smooth them out. All right. Like here, I've got all these little white dots. I don't like those little white dots, so I may come in here with my solution and sort of smooth all that out. We'll see. We will see. So, question. What do you guys think of shading with a colored pencil on this? Now that I've got a few sections in, and we will either go through here on the center. There are some ways, since I used brown, I didn't want to use a tone, a tone tile that wasn't tan. I'm just getting myself into trouble all over the place today. But I don't know. I like to use brown on the original tiles. They're sort of a cream color, an off-white, and it just works really nicely with the tone of the tile. And of course, I suppose you could use brown on gray, but okay. Why? That's my question. Why? All right. So, this is what I've got so far. And I kind of like it. I think the red tones really make it different. And as I was saying earlier, different is good. Different is good. Long as it's not weird, right? Okay, so now let's go ahead and do these orbs. Now on this one, I'm going to shade to both edges because we have a different dynamic happening here. I'm not rounding these this way. We're going to shade those individually and hope they work out. So let's see how this works. So on these, the highlight will be to the sides. Okay, well, that's a thought. Let's do some more and see how they look. You know, my trusty pencil sharpener, I still have not charged it again after I first got it. And this has been probably 6 weeks or so that I've had it. I really like it. I'm going to do a review on it for you guys. I think you will appreciate it, its qualities, and I do like how sharp it gets my pencils. I like that a lot. And that's not something you normally get, especially with colored pencil type sharpeners. The ones with the blunted tips, I just don't like those. I like my pencils to be really sharp. Okay, that wasn't so bad. That didn't take very long. So I'm a big fan. I think I probably will come in and use my blending solution down in these crevices a little bit to smooth this out. The tortillon is not foolproof as far as the blending goes. And let's face it, I didn't do the neatest job. I'm trying to decide whether to shade these with graphite or with colored pencil. And I think it'd probably be more realistic if I use the colored pencils, not that the shadows would normally be that way, but because if this were actuality and you had reflected light from your element, then that reflected light would be tinged the color that it was. So yeah, that's my not so sound reasoning for that. So I'm just going to put a little crescent of color along one side here. And these smaller orbs, it really doesn't have to be perfect. All you need is the hint of roundness for your effect to be done. Okay, so now I'm just going to put a little color sort of between these. And we can perk these up with a highlight with Jelly Roll. Okay, get these in here. I will have to get out my Mono Zero eraser so that I can clean up the highlighted area in some of these. Okay, let's see if we can blend this a little bit, see how it turns out. Yeah, need the Mono Zero for that. And this is why that is such an important part of your Zentangle toolkit, if you will, the little Mono Zero. It's for the situations like this. It isn't that we're erasing a mistake. That isn't the purpose of this. It's that we need them to enhance the highlight in spots where it's so small that we can't reach it with a traditional eraser. And it's not that we're breaking the rules or anything. It's just part of art, at least in my humble opinion. Okay, so let's shade these also on either side here. Okay, then I'm going to get these over here, and then we are going to use a graphite pencil, I think, to put a deep shadow in between these elements. I think I'm going to need to do a different shade just to sort of enhance that overlapping. I mean, I can try doing it with this, but I think we're going to miss a lot like that. Let's try it and see what happens. Maybe. I think I will be using some graphite just to help that along. Well, this is certainly brownish red. That's okay. We are called the Red Earth here in Oklahoma. It's because the dirt and clay in the earth here turns the mud and dirt red. We have red earth, so it has something to do with the minerals in the soil, and that is something that our Native American population calls it. All right, let's get this blended a little bit, and then we'll see where we're at. Oops, wrong side. And that spot right there is going to have to be lifted out some too. We want those light stripes to be very prominent. And this was my concern, is that once this is all blended out, we will lose the overlapping because this is not intense enough. So I'm going to blend out these elements to the sides. Okay. But you can see here that even if I were to put more of this color in, it's just going to get lost in the other stuff we're doing. So the solution to this is, which pencil to use? That is the question. So I think I'll use my F pencil to see if I can darken this element right here so that we have that overlapping look, the going behind look, the drawing behind. And I'm going to stroke in quite a bit, and I'm pressing fairly firmly here because I really want to darken this. I wish I could find my black Varafen, but that has gone away and I have not been able to find it again. I have to order some more. Time to go on Dick Blick. Okay. That is quite a bit better, although I think I'm going to have to come back through and really darken these spots a lot more, and I may have to drag out a pencil that is higher graphite content than my F pencil. I'm not sure how well this is going to lay down here. Okay, let's see. There, that's quite a bit better. And again, I'll still clean up with my eraser some of these stray marks. I will probably come back through here, definitely come back through here and do another shading run. Oops. See what a nice tool this is. And like I said, if there's any spots here that I really can't brighten with the eraser, then I can use my jelly roll and sort of lighten the ends. All right. Well, I really like this. I really do like this pattern. I think I could play with it a lot longer, but this is where I'm going to leave you today. As far as these spots, I don't know. I may still draw another element in there to just sort of fill it out. I feel like these two spots aren't enough to really use a separate fill pattern there. So I haven't really decided what I'm going to do. But this is where I'm going to leave you today. I hope you have enjoyed this pattern as much as I have. I've really enjoyed it a lot. And the embellishing possibilities that it leaves you and the different looks that you get from this. So this is 21 on day 86 of the 100 Days of Zentangle project, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I'm going to see you tomorrow.